Coach Robbie.
What's up, Mike?
How are you?
I'm good, man. I was just waiting to see how long you would stay silent.
Yeah, interesting podcast today, I might say.
Oh, man. I am, that was awesome. You know, I will say, you know, we tend to always go in with like a rough outline of what we want to talk to, and then 99% of the time never stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this would fall into that category. So, man, this is a great podcast. I mean, it's always good to get into the mindset of an athlete who's been to the level that Zak has collegiately, and you know, and on some of the biggest stages, and how he translate, you know, that to, you know, taking his on the court talent and experience to stuff he's doing now off the court with life, and then obviously with triathlon, with his eyes set on Ironman Wisconsin, and then the great little challenge we had at the end. But it was a great podcast and always a good learn.
Yeah, we went into basically how it translates from being a high-level college athlete into deciding to do your first Ironman with no endurance experience. You know, race like you train, confidence, ups and downs, his patience, emotions. We talk about college athlete diet and how that translates, and all kinds of stuff like that. Plus, of course, like you said, the big challenge.
The big challenge,
which is unveiled within this podcast. We hope that you enjoy this little bit of a diversion into the college basketball meets triathlon world, and we interview former Wisconsin Badger guard Zak Showalter. And welcome to the Crushing Iron podcast, Zak. It's great to have you, buddy.
I'm excited to be here, guys. Appreciate you guys for having me on.
Go Badgers!
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, man.
Now we're talking. After a brutal one.
I'm outnumbered, but yeah, I would like to say before we get started, this is probably the only day in the history of my life as a Tennessee basketball fan that I can say that we actually have a legit program in the face of two diehard Wisconsin basketball fans. I just want to get that in there, that we have actually a legit basketball.
This is sad.
It may never happen again. So
we played Tennessee last year. We actually played Tennessee last year in Maui, and we won. So at least I still got that to hold over you, to hang over your head.
You guys have a slightly better basketball tradition than we do at Tennessee, but right now we're just clinging on to any tradition. Just let us have it.
So who's got the better football tradition is the real question then.
Tradition?
Oh, boy. Anyway, so...
Have you guys had this argument?
No, I mean, you know, I live in Nashville. I've been in the SEC. I almost was going to take a vow not to bring up too much Badger basketball talk, but you guys are going off on a...
Kind of had to.
Yeah,
hey, listen, if you've listened, Zak, if you've listened to any of the more recent podcasts, you would know that even as a lifelong Tennessee fan, I don't think I've ever been as disappointed in our university or in our program as I have been in the last 6 months. I've
listened to a couple. I've listened to a couple here and there, so I'm trying to get caught up on all of it.
Incredibly disappointing, but we'll see how things go.
You got a lot more time now that you don't have to watch Badger basketball anymore this season.
Hey, listen.
Me? Are you talking about me or him?
No, you. Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
That's what gets me through my training, man. When they're losing all these games right now, just take it out on the machine, the treadmill, or I can't train outside right now, obviously, up here in Wisconsin with snow everywhere.
Yeah.
So I just sit on my trainer, on my Cyclops, and crank them out. Take my anger out.
Hey, all you guys got to do is make it into the tournament.
It's not going to happen.
It's not happening. Yeah, it's over.
Man, negative Nancy, 1-2 over here.
It's done, dude. It's over.
Are you guys really that bad?
Yeah.
We're 10-11 right now, I think.
What?
With zero solid wins. Yeah, it's not looking too hot right now.
I saw you guys. Were you guys playing Iowa last night?
If you call it playing.
If that's what you want to call it, yeah.
Man, this is kind of odd.
They were present.
Wow.
They were on the floor, yeah. So anyway, just
on to winner.
We can get into a little bit more of that later, because obviously it's very hard for me not to talk about. But what I thought we would do with this interview for everybody listening is, for those of you who don't know, Zak started for the Wisconsin Badgers the last 2 years, 2 Sweet 16s. You also played on the teams that both went to the Final Four. And so there's been a lot of, like high-profile, kind of intense training in your past and history. And I thought we would take a look at, how college basketball, high-level college basketball may translate into Ironman training, because he is now training for his first triathlon, which will be Ironman Wisconsin. And I just kind of want to get inside your mind about how that all works. But first, why don't you just kind of like set it up with start with your endurance background, which appears to be not a lot. Is that correct, Zach?
Yeah, literally zero.
Okay.
I played basketball my whole life, obviously. In high school, growing up, I played football and baseball. Played a little bit of volleyball in high school. So I didn't do much running other than a couple short 30-second bursts on the basketball court, and that was about it. So, yeah, I mean, I've been around the Ironman the last couple of years here in Madison. Me and my fiance, who was actually doing the race with me, which makes it that much more exciting, and I think we're kind of a unique case there as well. We both have volunteered as athletes. She swam at Wisconsin, and I obviously played basketball. So we've been around the race, and you get that. You start to question yourself when you're at that finish line, saying, "Hey, is this something that I can get myself to just get myself across that finish line?" And my buddy Zach Bohannon, who actually he graduated 2 years before me at Wisconsin, played basketball, was able to do it on limited training and just did it. He was in the Air Force for 2 years and then basically trained during the basketball season after practice a little bit here and there, and was able to get through the race. So I think that also inspired me to see what I'm made of, kind of test myself, and start this triathlon journey, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, man. You see, I heard an interview. This is how it all came down. I heard you on another podcast, and at the end of, you were talking about basketball. On the end of it, you kind of mentioned that you were training for Ironman, and you said, quote, "I've got the Ironman bug."
Yep.
Is that just kind of like taken over for basketball? I mean, as far as your competitive side, is it like really in you right now? Because I know how that can happen, but talk about that a little bit.
Definitely. I think college athletes kind of struggle with that transition, going from the adrenaline rush of playing 2 times a week in front of 20,000 fans to going to work, which I'm doing some commercial banking right now in Madison. So I got a job and I'm working 8 to 5, and it just wasn't quite the same rush. So I think I'm enjoying it obviously, but this was my way of having something that wakes me up in the morning. I got a date on the calendar that is something that I grind for. I think that's how I've been my whole life. Just always wanting to get better in some area. Obviously basketball took me a long ways, but this is just that next step in my life. And if you'd asked me 12 months ago what I'd be doing today, I never would have guessed this, but I'm making the most of it and really enjoying it so far.
You don't sound like a guy who's going to have a mentality of, he just got. I don't sense that is your approach to doing a full Ironman this year, that you just hope to get through it. I would imagine you probably want to do well.
That's a talk I've had. So I'm fortunate enough to have a coach. We both have a coach, and that's a talk that we've kind of had. Originally, the goal was just to get through it. Because to even finish, that's obviously you guys know more than anyone. That's going to be a hell of a grind.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I don't really know. I haven't looked into times or any of that stuff at all yet. So I don't know if that's gonna, once we get down the road more, and he's gonna come to me and be like, "Hey, I think you can get this time if you do this, this, and this." Maybe that's something I can shoot for. But at this point, it's just finishing and then kind of seeing where we go from there.
Nice. You still live in Madison, right?
Yep, I live in Madison, so I think that's another advantage for us is we can literally go bike the course and get out in Lake Mendota and swim around. So I think that helps. Lake Monona, excuse me.
For sure, yeah. Can I, since you live in Madison, can I guess your coach?
Go for it, yeah, absolutely.
Blake Becker.
Nope.
No. Damn.
Oh, for what?
Right.
How many coaches
All
you know?
right.
Is that the other one?
I know a couple more, but we'll just edit that out because I don't like to be wrong a lot. So we'll
Gotcha.
kidding.
His name's Todd. I can't even pronounce Holosovsky or something.
Is he-
That sounds like he sounds serious.
He was a former basketball coach around Madison, so I'd have to check.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's actually aligns, and he reached out to me, and we
That's
put
awesome.
something together, and it's going really well so far.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, as a basketball fan for Wisconsin, I know that you guys used to. That was always made a big deal out of it. But when you guys would run the hill and train, in I guess fall training or whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody seemed to have a love-hate relationship with it. But obviously, as somebody who's been training for Ironman for a while, that was always something intriguing to me. And I never thought about stuff like that while I was playing college baseball and whatever. But I mean, did you guys run much, or was it all about, to build base or something? Was it all just about kind of explosive things?
We ran a little bit. It was all the running we do is all sprinting though. So we would do in the gym, down, back, down, basically 3 lengths of the court in 20 seconds or whatever it was. So it wasn't really any endurance. And actually, a crazy fact about me, or a tidbit about me, was when I was a freshman in high school, I had vocal cord disorder, which would prevent me from breathing fluidly, I guess you would say. So I actually struggled. During games, I would be gassed within the first 2 minutes of a game, and I had to do just some exercises. And over the years, it's gotten better as I've grown up, and I guess hopefully that matured, I guess you would say. But so I really didn't like running, and I'm not a huge running fan. I just have gotten into it more in the last couple of months here.
And
I'm gonna use that next time I get out of breath.
What's that? Use
That's
that
my-
excuse?
Yeah, it's my vocal cords. It's not my lungs. It's my vocal
I had never
cords.
even heard of it either.
I've never
existed.
heard of it either. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that.
was that from
So they
singing?
literally, yeah, I wish that was the issue. But they literally shove these cameras up your nose. It sounds kind of gross, just to look at your throat and what's all going down, and they make you sing in these different pitches. And I guess that was what they came back and told me I had.
Wow. Do you still do those exercises? Do you feel like that might be something that would be helpful?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Like I said, I just got better, and it wasn't really an issue going probably after my junior year of high school. So I don't know. Got over it. Hopefully
Yeah.
it doesn't come back during the race.
Yeah, that would be nice. But as you've started training and gotten more into the building your base for endurance and things like that, has it been an issue?
No, not at all. And I think that's more high intensity, short bursts when I'm really gasping for air. Where now, endurance running is more long distance, obviously. Is it anaerobic or aerobic? I never know the difference.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. If you're probably going anaerobic if you're talking. Anaerobic is when you had problems like high intensity sprints. Anaerobic, so without oxygen, and then aerobic would be like your endurance pace stuff.
Yep. So it's not really an issue for me at this point, which is nice.
But when as you practice and stuff like that, when do you feel like you were in supreme shape? You had to have been, right? But I always wonder, it's I'm always curious about how tired you get out on the floor, in the TV timeout thing and stuff like that. Do you guys, is that legit? Do you get really tired in 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Some of these guys, is that
I would get tired. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I played pretty damn hard.
Yeah, you did.
That was my trademark. If I was going to stay on the court, I had to play my ass off, really. So I know we would actually wear heart rate monitors in practice, which is kind of unique.
That's what I was going to ask.
Oh, really?
So we could look at our stats, and I would run really hot. Our strength coach would tell me, you're running really hot, but as soon as there's a dead ball, your numbers just drop instantaneously. So I think they say that if you're in good shape, that's what you usually see in those readings. So I was in good shape. I would just play my ass off.
It's very. I was going to ask that because I know there's a lot of sports programs that use technology like that now in terms of. They also use it in terms of recovery, seeing where your easier. Well, this is more professionals because I doubt you got many easier practices because your heart rate was a little bit higher. But it's a being able to go high and then recover fast with a lower heart rate and is a good marker of being in really good shape.
Yep. And our strength coach actually was the strength coach for the Bulls for like 10 years. So he worked with Michael Jordan and all those guys. So we were pretty fortunate to have a guy like him around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is good stuff, man. So I got actually a good segue in that. So I had a headline here written, "Practice like you train." I mean, a race like you train. And so I mean, take us inside some practices and like, how did you guys, how coach viewed that whole concept of practicing? Because I know that's a huge thing with Wisconsin too. I mean, I've been seeing it play out. It's always like you play if you practice hard, and I'm just curious how. That applies to the way you think about training for Ironman, and is that something that's instilled in you in the sense that you want to train harder than maybe you're going to race? I mean, do you go about things like that?
I don't know training wise yet for Ironman. I'm still new to this process, so I guess I haven't gone through a full season, so I don't know what I'm going to be like come August, what my training is going to be like. But yeah, I mean, basketball. If you're going to expect your body to do things that are pretty ridiculous as on an effort level, you can't just walk out there and expect to be able to play 45 minutes 40 minutes full steam ahead without having to do that in practice. So I think our coaching staff was really good at getting the most out of us every single day and making sure we were ready to play come when that ball is tipped in the air.
And that's true. You earned your minutes in practice. Is that correct? Oh
yeah. For sure. And I mean, that's where you get better. That's where Wisconsin has kind of grown through the years and built the program. That's why it's tough to see them not growing as the season goes on right now, because you would start usually in the beginning of the year and not win those big non-conference games where the Big Ten would always look like they're down a little bit. But as the season progresses, you start to get better and kind of play off your teammates, and our defense would always get better come tournament time, and then you make your run. And everything's good from there.
Right. And you were able to, as you got older, be able to recognize that, right? I mean, and I suppose as you were younger, were you a walk-on, right, at first?
Yeah, well, I was a scholarship my freshman year, but I had agreed to a 4 for 5.
Oh, okay.
So I had to give up my scholarship my second year, and we just brought in more recruits than we expected. And then I actually redshirted that sophomore year too. Mm-hmm. And then earned it back the next 3 years after that.
Wow. Practice hard or don't get to play.
Exactly.
I like that. It's actually a really underrated thought, even when it comes to triathlon, to racing. And I'm not sure what your lead up will be into Wisconsin and how many other races you're going to do. I'm sure you're going to have some, but is that thought that you have, and I'm sure you come across this in in your collegiate and even before that, high school, I'm sure AAU, whatever it was, is you could always tell the guys that just thought they could just show up and own it. Those athletes usually play well for a good portion of the game. But then when it comes time to when things get down to like the nitty gritty where you have to be disciplined and dedicated and committed, they usually fall, like maybe for instance, like missing free throws at the end of the game or a blown assignment. And those are the things that you earn in practice. And the same thing goes with training, as you see athletes who are consistent with their training and that work hard all the time and they're consistent and they show up to race day prepared and always do well, versus the ones who think they can just skip and take shortcuts and just quote unquote show up because they have more athletic ability. When push comes to shove and the details really matter, they tend to fall by the wayside or come up with excuses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my favorite quotes is hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. Mm-hmm. And I think if you looked at me, I'm not your prototypical Division I basketball player by any means. So I kind of understood that if I'm going to have any impact and do what I want to do, I got to work harder than anyone else is willing to work. And I think hopefully that'll translate. And I've felt like that's translating to the triathlon world. So I'm enjoying it, like I said.
Yeah.
Have you questioned yourself yet? Like, why the hell why did I think this? Like, when did you get this idea to do Wisconsin? And then have you already had one of those? Dude, what are you thinking? Why? What made you decide this? Besides when you're in the pool,
well, everyone asks me.
Your significant other, like, dusting you.
Yeah, she kicks my ass. I'll tell you that much. That's a humbling experience. I think when I question myself is after I'll go for an hour run, it says like 6 miles, 6.5 miles, and I'm like, how many hours? Like, I'm dying after a run, and I'm used to these short sprints, obviously, so I had to totally reconfigure how I even run, period, because I'm just used to going out and sprinting. The first day of training was like a 30-minute run, and I just went out and booked it like I would on a basketball court. I'm gassed, and our coach was like, hey, just go out where you can have a conversation, don't let your heart rate get above whatever the number was. And slowly, after I've been doing that a couple times, I'm like, oh, I can actually do this and enjoy it a little bit. So I'm improving in that area for sure.
Yeah, you said that about you played baseball too. I've always kind of wondered what sport translates the most, and I've kind of come around to think that maybe it's baseball because you're standing so long and you have to be really patient. And when you talk about patience, like you're just saying you ran out and just busted the run and stuff like that. And really, Ironman does come down to so much patience. And Coach Robbie talks about it all the time, and that's one of our favorite things to talk about in this podcast. And again, I'm just trying to draw some parallels here, but I mean, Wisconsin basketball is arguably one of the more patient systems and development programs in the country. And how much, you played for Hall of Fame coach Bo Ryan, and did you guys talk about patience a lot? I mean, because your offense operated patiently, and like you said, you would slowly improve over the course of a season, and you can draw a parallel between that and an Ironman race. It's like you can't come out too hot, or you're going to be, dying at the end. So it's like you want to kind of save it and then use it at the end and go your hardest during the tournaments and stuff like that. Did you guys talk about patience and things like that?
Yeah, patience and grind were two words that we always kind of stressed, especially coming in. Typically for a Wisconsin program, it's a little different this year, but typically you walk in as a freshman, you don't see the court much. You kind of are on that scout team, just learning all the defensive concepts, because our defense with Coach Ryan and Coach Gard is implementing some of it now is so based on playing off of each other and just understanding concepts. So just having that patience and understanding that you're not going to step in and play right away, and you just stick to the course, and things will happen when your number gets called. So I think that definitely translates.
Patience.
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
Patience.
Applies to everything.
It does.
Yeah, which also I got to thinking about that too, because and patience and as you think about, what do you think about when you think about that day, that Ironman race? I mean, does it kind of jack you up? And you have to. I mean, such a big part of race day, I think, is kind of keeping your emotions in check. And I just think about what was it like for you as a player to walk out in front of 70,000. I was in Dallas when you guys played Kentucky the first year, and then I was in Indy when you guys played them again. But to walk out in a dome with 70,000 people on national TV, and you're getting ready to play Kentucky, who's 38-0, and it's just hyped over the top of them. How do you keep your emotions in check? And do you ever think about that in terms of how you can use that same skill on race day for Ironman?
Yeah. I mean, it's an indescribable feeling playing in front of that many people, but once you get out on the court, you just get into your zone. I mean, I've played so much basketball in my life that it was I wouldn't get nervous for any games. I think the most nerves I would have would be in the locker room before the game, during pregame speeches and stuff like that. But once you get out there, it's just another game, and that's kind of the mindset I always had. I'm hoping that translates to the Ironman, just another run, another swim, another bike. But like I said, I haven't gone through it yet. Training hopefully prepares you for that. So you're not, I mean, that's how it is in basketball. That's how it is in making speeches and everything. If you train and practice, you're more comfortable doing it, obviously. So I'll have to report to you guys after the race. Hopefully get back on here and let you know what my feelings were throughout the whole, hopefully less than 14 hours or whatever that time I'm going to end up setting is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sounds like, you've already, obviously with just your athletic ability aside, just your experience and resume of, dedication and commitment and consistency, but also that sometimes you have to be short-sighted and present when it comes to challenges or obstacles, or I guess in basketball they use it, just take it, you're down 15 or 16, don't think about the number, just take it one possession time. Get one stop and score. Get another stop and score. And in terms of applying that to training and racing, it's 1 mile might feel great, 1 mile might feel terrible. In terms of using that toolbox, and as you go forward. So, what have there been challenges so far? And if so, what kind, and how have you kind of found yourself dealing with them? And have you just kind of naturally reversed and kind of reverted to a basketball analogy, or your times playing, collegiately?
I think the biggest challenge for me is just the individual sport aspect of it. Growing up playing team sports my whole life and just having that camaraderie and that team chemistry to build off of, I think that's what makes team sports fun. And I think that was the biggest challenge, but that's why having my fiance with me doing pretty much all of our training together makes it that much easier, which is why we both kind of convince each other to do it. So I think that's the biggest challenge, but really, it comes down to consistency. Just doing small things every single day. That's what I've heard. I've listened to the Iron Cowboy and all these guys talk about it. It's the same thing in basketball as it is in this sport from the sounds of things. So don't picture that big goal and just try to go do it. Obviously, without putting the training in it, just every day get a little bit better, and soon you're competing with the best. And that's how I looked at it as a basketball player. And I'm trying to relay that now into the triathlon world.
Mm-hmm. And before we get too far off of that Kentucky game, that 38-0 game in Indy, well, you mentioned
live in the past.
It was one of my greatest fan sporting experiences ever. But
oh yeah,
it was amazing. We kind of talked a little bit about that in email. But I was just curious if you remember the pregame speech with Bo. How would he handle that? How would he coach you into that kind of a arena? It's obviously it's almost like he probably has to talk you down a little bit because you got to be jacked, right?
Yep. Same way as he approached every pregame talk.
Is that true?
Game. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what the best coaches do. They don't play anything up. They just keep it. It's just another game. Play hard, play smart, play together, and have fun. That's what it all came down to. I wish I could say it was something crazy, but really, it's not. It's just another game. They just happen to be 38-0 and had 17 NBA players on their team. We just played better that night. It only takes one night. That's probably something he said. All it takes is 40 minutes of your best basketball, and we'll be celebrating after.
Yeah, that's what we say about Ironman. Yeah,
that's true.
You just got to do it one day. You just got to do it one time. You don't have to be great on any other day of the year except for that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so many people. We talk about that all the time, is that so many people get caught up in making their training day a PR or something like that, but it's got to come back to the focus on the big prize. And that absolutely is true, man. You know that. Obviously that kind of experience will translate very well. You know already that you're going to finish this thing, right?
I sure hope so. I don't want to set my mind to doing something that I can't do. So I want to see what I got, see what I'm made of.
Is that going to be your only deal, or are you going to do like a half or something beforehand?
That's what we're trying to figure out still. Unfortunately, Sam Decker. Yeah. Sam is getting married when Door County is. I know that's supposed to be
that's a big one.
A good half up here. So we're still trying. Being our first one, we're like, do we want to do a half and then be almost psyched out to do the full one, or do we want to just go after it and do it? And I know you guys, from what I've heard you guys saying, is start with a half, don't sign up for the full right away. But I think we're a little different scenario, so we're just trying to figure out what we want to do here.
Yeah, Door County's in like June, I think, regularly, off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it's July
Okay, July.
13th or something like that.
Yeah. And so Sam gets married then. When do you guys get married?
June 2019, June 22nd, 2019. So this is kind of our, we actually like scheduled that we were going to do it in June. We're like, well, what are we going to do for the next year? So us being the crazy people that we are, we said, why not sign up for an Ironman? If we're ever going to do it, this was our mentality. If we're ever going to do it, we're both coming off of probably being in the best shapes of our lives.
Yeah.
We got to do it now before we lose that. And before we have kids and life gets in the way. So
yeah,
it was actually funny. I was on the website like 3 days before the sign up and sent her a Snapchat with like just the eyes. I don't know if you guys know the emoji eyes. And she responds and goes, I was literally just looking at that yesterday, and we just challenged each other like, you won't sign up for it. And she said, you won't sign up for it. And here we are 5 months later training in the middle of training.
Wow.
Is she pretty good? I mean, obviously the swimming background is going to be a huge advantage.
Yeah, I think she can be one of the first out of the water. I told her that yesterday. I don't know if she wants me going out in public and saying that.
Too late.
But, I mean,
that's going to be the headline of our podcast.
She's a Big Ten swimmer, and she's fast, but I guess I don't know what fast is.
What was her event, her big event at UW?
She did 50 free, 100 free, and then all the relays and stuff. So freestyle was her race, and then she did back too as well.
Oh, wow. So she, I mean, coming from a swimming background myself, like I know that even if you do 50s and 100s and relay stuff, you still do long distance stuff. I imagine some of her training, she's kind of in the same boat you are in terms of having to pace herself differently versus now I have to swim continuously for her, it'll probably be in the low 50s, I would imagine, if not high 40s, but consistently, and then also have enough in me to bike 112 and swim. And you're the same kind of in your terms of your running. You're going really, really, really hard for 15, 30, 45 second burst, and kind of like slowing things down a little bit when all you've done for the last 4 or 6 years is go full speed and rest. I'm sure it's taken a little bit of time for her to adjust to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where having a coach comes in so helpful. It comes in so clutch, and he's beneficial to us as he can always check our stats. I don't know how to read any of those Training Peak stats or anything. It all goes in, and he gets back to me and says, "Hey, slow it up a little bit, or this is what you need to be doing." So I think that's where it's beneficial to both of us. And then she's helpful to me in the pool because I'm just starting to learn flip turn stuff because I'll hit the wall and turn around, and she'll be doing her flip turns and is already halfway back across the pool. I'm like, you gotta help me with this somehow because this is not efficient by any means. So it's good to have my own mini coach when we get together for a master's swim course or whatever.
Definitely. So where are you in this? So you said you're about an hour runs and things of that nature. Are you crushing like 3-4 hour training rides yet?
Yeah, we had a 2:45 last week. We got an hour swim Sunday and then a 3-hour bike after that. So it's starting to heat up a little bit. Yeah, it's starting to heat up, but it's doable. Other than my butt killing me, that's the hardest part right now. Are you gonna be stuck inside for those 3 hours? Yeah, watching Game of Thrones. We just started Thrones, so that's getting us. Well, I've watched it all the way through, but I convinced her to start it.
Gotcha.
So we're flying through seasons. Yeah, no kidding. Dear God.
Do you? I know that since it's a huge part of training for an Ironman is I'm always curious. I know you guys have like college basketball teams have their own little dining areas and things like that. But did you guys take diet and nutrition seriously in basketball, or were you guys kind of like just kids eating whatever?
My freshman year, I didn't. Living in the dorms, you got the common, or what do you call it, the food hall. I put on like 15 pounds. I was taking creatine, and our strength coach before the Bulls strength coach that we ended up having just wanted me to put on weight and be bigger to play in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. And I just felt terrible. My knees were shot. I just didn't feel good. So we got our new strength coach came in, And I told him, this is what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling like myself. I couldn't jump like I could in high school. And he said, well, let's start paying attention to what you're eating. Let's get you back down to a weight that you feel comfortable playing. So I played at 185 was my weight, and really just locked in on my diet, and learned so much about what I need to be eating and when I need to be eating, that it's really translating to what I need to be eating at doing this triathlon stuff. So we got so many advantages coming from a good program that really took care of you. I mean, we still go back and take ice baths and get stretched out from our trainer that we have. So it's kind of made for us to be doing this right now.
Yeah, you guys must have been big on recovery too, right?
Huge, and Normatex and all that stuff. So I used to ice tub after every game. When we get back at 3 a.m. from a Michigan State road trip, I would go straight to the cold tub, just because I was always falling on the floor and getting banging knees and stuff like that. Where if I didn't do that immediately, the next day at practice, I wouldn't even be able to get through it. So I guess I know what it takes to take care of my body, and most people, I don't think, coming into the sport understand that, which is helpful.
Wow, 3 a.m., man, and then you made it to class. You don't have to answer that.
I scheduled my classes later as I became older. I figured out this
older
system.
and wiser. Yeah,
exactly.
Older and wiser. So how is it training like right now with everything being inside? Like, how is that? Is it a struggle for you mentally? Is it, like, are you thinking, oh my God, like, how much longer can I do this? Churning out. I know just for me, I can handle the trainer about as good as anyone. But even for me, once you kind of get over the 2.5 hour mark, you think,
oh yeah,
oh my God, not just I feel like I'm sitting on a crowbar, but just mentally, Game of Thrones is solid, but I don't know how solid it is. So,
how long it can get you through.
Exactly. Yeah. So how is that, like, the mental aspect of that going?
I think it's just starting to hit us. We're kind of getting towards that point where you're getting antsy, especially on the runs. So we try to get out as much as possible, and even though it's freezing cold, we try to get out once a week for our runs. The bike is not bad. It's at this point, I guess, just because we have entertainment right in front of our face where we could be engaged and follow along. Plus, on Game of Thrones, I need the captions on the bottom, because otherwise I cannot keep the name straight. So I'm getting my reading fix in and just engaged, and it helps me not think about what my legs are doing, I guess. But nice. I think we're getting to that point where we're antsy to get outside. Plus, like, I don't really have much bike riding experience, which will be the next thing. Yeah, the next thing that we're gonna have to learn. I rode mountain bikes and stuff like that, but when I got on those thin tires and trying to go down turns and stuff like that, it's definitely something I'm gonna have to work at getting better at here.
Yeah, especially because I grew up mountain biking a lot, and I think it helps your handling, but it is a different animal. I assume you have a tri bike. Have you been?
No,
you don't.
Bike.
Have you been spending a lot of time in aero?
Ironman on no aero yet, so that's something we're gonna have to get into. We got to get our, what do you call them, aero clip bars?
Yeah.
Installed here soon, but yeah, road bike is what we're at. I mean, just got stuff off of Craigslist, so we're trying to do it on as much as a budget as possible. Mm-hmm. It adds up so quick, which we didn't even really understand when we initially signed up for it. My buddy Zak Showalter, who did it, was like, sign up, ask questions later. And slowly, surely, you find out how much equipment you need for the Ironman, and it starts to add up. But overall, I think there's worse things to be spending money on, which is what we always say to each other.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And listen, if there's a course out there, at least here in America, that you're going to see the least amount of difference in an actual tri bike versus a road bike and clip-on bars, it's the one in Madison. So, and as far as the hills and all the turns and the descents, you'll be thankful, especially as just kind of getting into it, that you went that route versus probably wasting another $1,500 to $2,000 on a bike that might just look fancier with you in the same position as you would be on a road bike.
Yep, that was our mindset, and that's what everyone told us, and we're like, well, and everyone says you don't know if you're going to love it or if you're going to hate it, so don't go break the bank right away. If we do love it all the way up through it, then tri bike's probably next for me, but at this point, road bike I'm happy with. Plus, it's good to have. I mean, even if I do get a tri bike, I'm going to want that road bike to have.
Keep the road bike. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good. And
so Craigslist is our friend.
Yeah,
it is.
No doubt, man. I mean, frankly, it's like I like riding a road bike better. It's just a different animal, and that kind of adds a whole nother element. I think Wisconsin definitely is. I mean, I could totally see riding that on a road bike, and plus, how many times you planning to ride the course a lot? I assume. Or
yeah,
a few
which
times.
would be nice with our team. Yeah, and that'll have the camaraderie that we're looking for, and our coach screaming at us. The I Hate Todd Club is what our team calls it. That's our hashtag.
What's he rides along on like a moped and just drives?
I have no idea. He did the Ironman once, but he said I don't know if he's going to do it again. So he's got his certifications and everything, and probably rides in a bike or in a car. I would assume. I guess I'll find out here soon.
Mm-hmm. Now I know you've only listened to a couple I hate Todd. You've only listened to a couple of our podcasts, but we have multiple ones specifically. Well, certainly a few designed right for Wisconsin. So kind of look back and find those.
Sweet.
That's how a lot of people actually found us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, breaking down the course and stuff.
What are your ties to Wisconsin? Where did you play baseball at? I know you grew up here.
Yeah, I grew up in Beloit, and then I went to lacrosse. I played baseball at lacrosse.
Oh, gotcha.
And that was back when Madison
Sweet.
still had a team, and we used to go down there and beat up on them a little bit.
Man, I wish. Yeah. That's the one thing that we missed in college was having a baseball team to go watch. I go to Brewers games all the time, but having a college team would be awesome.
Yeah. Now, and you played for your dad was the coach, right? When you grew up in high school, right? Your dad was your coach.
Yep.
And was he in the Bo Ryan vein, like a?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool. So my dad played for Coach Ryan.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yep. So he played for Coach Ryan, and that's kind of the connection, I guess you would say. And then it was kind of cool to come full circle to have his son. I'm sure that was a dream of his to have his son play for the same coach that he had at Wisconsin. So
was it your dream though? Was it his dream or your
absolutely.
dream? Okay.
No, it was my dream 100%. I mean, I grew up watching those guys play. I used to go when I was in high school. I would go in the student section. They beat Ohio State when Ohio State was the 1 seed, and I was in the student section, and we stormed the court, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Wow. Was that the Jordan Taylor game?
Jordan Taylor played really well that game. Gosser, who I'm like best friends with, lives right down the hall from us, was on that team as a freshman. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's all history from there.
Can you pinpoint one of your favorite games or one or two of your favorite games memories? I mean, obviously you're probably still trying to shed that Florida game from last year.
Yeah, Florida was awesome. Just the whole Aaron Rodgers connection and all that was awesome because I had known Aaron for a while. Mm-hmm. He was in the draft. He was in New York actually when Sam got drafted. So we kind of celebrated with him. So I had known him for a while, and we would exchange Twitter messages back and forth. So he told me he would be there, and obviously that gets you a little more amped up going into that game. But when I make the shot, instincts just kick in. Like I wasn't a huge showboat guy, so I would never picture myself doing the belt, and it just kind of happened. I think the first game though, one of the games that sticks out in my mind was North Carolina my sophomore year when we went to that first Final Four. Oh no, my redshirt sophomore year. So it was the second Final Four before we played Kentucky. Sorry, I'm getting in the weeds here. But it was kind of my coming out game when I got an opportunity to show what I could do, and really was the stepping stone for I think the rest of my career. So that's something that sticks out to me.
Yeah, and that's like the high of something like that, and I'm just always like curious to draw parallels between what that's going to feel like when you come around the Capitol and you're running down the finisher chute and you have a
Mike Riley, man.
Yeah,
Coach wrote our goals, or we have like a thing to write our goals on, and I said I want to hear Mike Riley say my name. That's Zak Showalter. You are an Ironman. And then I found out like 2 days later that he had committed to doing the Wisconsin one again.
Yeah,
so
that's one of his races for next
year. Yeah. So Mike, you doing it?
Oh! Is it still open? I don't know. I mean, is it still open?
I don't know. You can run beside me. train. You can go beside me.
Yeah, right.
Get me through it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there because I always go up
Sweet.
there. I make a video. I've been up there like
It's
the
open.
last 5 years. Either racing.
It's open.
Oh, I
It's
think
open?
we're talking here.
It's open.
What's it gonna take?
Tier 3. What's it gonna do?
What's it gonna take? The banker's
What I gotta
coming
do?
up. The banker's coming through.
Here, yeah, it's right here. How many? Hey, Zach, how many followers do you have on Twitter?
Twitter, Instagram is like 40,000. I don't know what Twitter, 30 something, a little bit less.
So, what do you think? Like 1,000 retweets of this podcast? I think this is fair. I think this is legitimate.
To get him to do it?
All right.
Wow,
All right, I'm in.
You agreed
1,000
to that real
retweets.
quick.
1,000 retweets, and Mike signs up for Madison that day.
Wow. How many Crushing Ironman or Crushing Iron followers you guys got?
Not enough.
Not on Twitter. We've only got like not many. We haven't.
How many
really
in the likes on the videos or on the podcast?
Oh man, we've got
Yeah, we're much stronger in our podcast game.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
I'm gonna shamelessly plug myself and say go Z Show B-Ball 333, and then you guys can find my tweet that I put out and retweet it so we can get Mike doing this thing.
Yeah, and because I'll tell you right now, Zach, that between you and I, if we get these 1,000 retweets, I in my possession have the company card, and I will if he wants to delay it, once we hit 1,000, we'll just connect once we get it, and I'll sign him up and forward him the registration confirmation email. How does that sound?
I'm impressed that you just said yes to 1,000 retweets that quick. I think we can get that.
He doesn't think you're capable. He doesn't think.
So are you still training? Like, are you training right now?
That's beside the.
Oh yeah, I mean
You've done enough that you could just go out and do it. Is
I'm
that
kind of like the Allen Iverson of triathlon. Practice.
He's
practice.
Listen, man, it's January.
It's
January. He's got a long way away, and I can tell you right now that we have plenty of listeners that are on Twitter, and I will make sure that we post this in our closed Crushing Iron group, which has about 750
Dedicated.
They will probably create a Twitter account just to retweet this.
to get Mike to do it.
So 1,000 retweets to get Mike to Madison. I think
Let's go.
That's the header of the podcast.
Ooh,
I'm pumped.
get
I
Mike to
am too.
Madison. I'm a little bit.
Mike's not
pumped.
gonna like me anymore.
Hey, you're not going to get invited back, and unfortunately, Zach, you and I are more pumped for this than he is, but it goes tomorrow.
I still have
that's
ultimate control over whether or not this podcast is even going to air.
That's right.
That's funny.
5 minutes chat. Well, that didn't go as we planned, so don't cheer for Zach at Wisconsin.
No, I'm pumped
Did you-
about that. I don't mind having a little bit of something out there. 1,000. I just 1,000 retweets. That's quite a few. I know.
It is a lot.
I saw no, just quick on that thought. I had this thought. It was like some girl emailed the New York Jets and wanted to have like her bachelorette party pictures
The
or
Mets
something.
wasn't the Mets.
The Mets. That's right.
Yeah, I saw
and they're
that.
like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. Just 500,000 retweets, and when you're in,
Yeah.
it's like Jesus, man.
That's different than 1,000. 500,000
Yeah, but
is
you've
insane.
seen some of the stupid shit people get.
Oh, I know.
Like,
For real.
if you get this we'll give you. It was like a fast food chain or something. You get this
Yeah, I saw
retweeted
that.
so many times, you'll get like a lifetime supply. And it was people, and you just get people on Twitter. They'll retweet anything. I mean, maybe you can even get Trump to give it a retweet.
Oh, jeez. That's a whole nother conversation. We don't need to have that right now.
Yeah, we'll have that one.
Well, we do never talk about politics, but like some of those people have. I'm not really like a sympathetic character or anything like that. People don't care about my Iron Man, do they? Maybe they do.
Oh, I think they do.
I think a lot of people.
I mean, I think people would be pumped to get you to do this.
Sure. And
All they have to
hey,
do is
listen,
press a button and they control
Exactly.
someone's future.
Okay, and you have to make sure Gosser's there to give me a high five when I get done.
Oh, I can talk. He'll be there for sure. I'll have a bunch of basketball buddies there, so that'll get you. I mean, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I will. I'm
trying to recruit. I'm trying to recruit like all of my friends around the area to be there, just to get us through that day.
yeah. it's a good idea.
The more support, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll give you
Man.
encouragement as you run by me, dude.
That's what you think. You'll be right next to me grinding out with Annie and I. That's the other thing we're trying to figure out is we want to finish together or just go at our own speed.
No,
go at your own speed. You spend the rest of your life together. At least have 14 hours where you don't have to. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm a married man and I love my wife to death. But I ran a half marathon with her and it was enjoyable and it was 2 hours. But 13, 14, and you're both competitive enough that you come down like those last 10 yards and you're gonna be looking at each other like, okay, like who's
hello?
Yeah,
sorry, I cut out. Oh, I cut out. Sorry about that.
It's all right. You're both gonna be looking at each other as you hit that red carpet. And it's like, all right, we technically probably can look like we're gonna cross at the same time, but the clock's gonna have one person ahead of another.
And who sprints through?
Exactly. Yeah, because it's not gonna say tie. It's gonna say overall, 345th you, and then overall 346th your wife, or vice versa. So someone's gonna beat somebody. We're just going to find out who it is. And I'll just say it right now. If you guys both end up doing, I know, Zach, you're doing Wisconsin, but Mike, if you do it too, I will be on the course and I will rock my Ron Dane jersey in support.
How about if I hook you up with the number 3 basketball jersey?
Heck yeah, man.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Basketball jerseys with no undershirt. I'll rock those all day long.
Yeah. That's a good
I got my tri-kit the other day.
You got your tri-outfit? How's that?
Tri-outfit.
So I had to decide between the 1-piece or the 2-piece, and I went with the 1-piece.
You're a good man. Good call, man.
You agree with that?
Oh, your junk will agree with it.
That's good to know, because that's the main issue going forward.
It's like a men's testicular sports bra.
So what do I wear, like, wetsuit? Do I still...
Did you get does it have like sleeves to your elbows or just like a tank?
To my elbows. The tri-suit does. Now I'm trying to figure out if I want one with arms.
So you said the tri-suit does
What's that you cut out?
The tri-suit does come to your elbows?
Yeah.
Then I would swim in it a couple times to see if you have good enough range of motion, but if it does, you should be able to wear it just as is underneath your wetsuit. If not, just roll it down to your hips, and then when you get out of the water on your run up from getting out, you'll have already pulled your wetsuit down. While you're running up, because it's a long transition, while you're running up, start to zip it up and put your sleeves on. You won't waste any time.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I need some tips. Everyone else needs tips too. That'll be helpful, hopefully, to some people.
Yeah, it's good. Everybody.
Have you ever swam in Lake Monona yet?
Sober.
Oh man, I don't know if I have sober. That's a real. I've been in Mendota, not sober, after KK.
Yeah.
Which is a bar in Madison for people listening.
That's still around. I used to go there like 100 years ago, man.
Oh yeah, that's the spot, and it's right by the water. So bar closed, even though you're not supposed to, but you take a quick dip after sweating on the dance floor.
Oh, dance floor, huh?
Oh yeah, they got a good dance floor. No, not. I haven't. I don't think I've swam in it. I've been in a boat on it, but that's about it.
Okay.
So that'll be fun. I'll be in there quite a bit this summer. Plus Devil's Lake. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. We do a lot of training up there. So I actually my mom lives up in the Dells now, so it's close to there. So it's kind of close to my house.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, man.
Works out well.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Well, I guess we've got some things to look forward to here, maybe.
Yes, we do.
We'll get the ball rolling on this. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I did not come into this planning for that, by the way. I'm guessing you didn't anticipate this either, but
No,
it just kind of happened.
That's how most of our podcasts do. We don't come in with a plan. They just kind of end up what they end up being. So just for everybody listening, how can they find you on Instagram and Twitter, Zach?
So Instagram, my page is Zak Showalter 3, I believe, and then my Twitter handle is ZShowBball333.
All right.
That sounds like that sounds like an old school like AOL email.
It was my original AIM.
I knew it.
Sam tries to get me to change it all the time, but if I change my Twitter handle, I lose all my followers.
That's it, man.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So
I just embrace it and stick to it. That's what made me me.
Yeah, that's what made you. Yeah, well, I'll put that stuff in the show notes and stuff, and then I'll link a couple of those big videos, the double check belt video.
Yeah, there you
go. No, don't worry, Zach. I'll double check his show notes to make sure he doesn't accidentally, put in the underscore or an extra, letter in your Twitter
to keep the people away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Robbie.
No problem, man. I got you.
All right.
Well, cool. Thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun.
Nah, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. We'll be in touch.
It's good entertainment. Good entertainment when I'm at work, putting in the grind.
Grind it out. Yeah. Okay, man. Well, hope you get over to Marigold one of these days. It's a good restaurant, and
yeah, for sure.
We'll check you tomorrow when I forward you guys Mike's registration confirmation for Wisconsin.
Yeah, right.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So when is this comes out Thursday? When is this coming out?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Sweet.
If I can get it together, I don't know.
Oh, come on. You're scared now.
All right.
Don't shy away from a challenge.
Podcast ever.
Well, I am going to get a haircut, so that might be the sign.
Know.
It's all coming together for me.
It is. All right, man. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah,
Thanks,
appreciate
Zach.
you guys.
All right, man. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.
Yep, take it easy.